While in Europe, are taking positions of the results of presidential elections, Greece and France, whose results have already been made public. Hollande wins in France, but a lot of French fortunes started from the beginning of the quarter to request the transfer of residents to the UK, to escape the 75% rate that applied in France promises Hollande, the higher income €1 million, and adopt the suggestion that the UK remains at 45%, which is its current rate, and 24% in corporate tax. Otherwise, in Greece, 10 million citizens were called to vote in an election that can barely afford. The country is in chaos. Officials have lost 20% of their salary, and 25% of its purchasing power, with a commitment to dismiss another 150,000 officers in the next period 2012-2015. Unemployment has shot up to 21%, and has become poor 3 million Greeks. The political left and right, represented by New Democracy and PASOK, respectively, have suffered a drain of votes and lost the absolute majority of votes, shifting to the extreme parties of left and right, and was also represented in parliament. The neo-Nazi party, Golden Dawn, shared with the extreme left, Syrian.
This weekend, we had riots in Moscow, with street protests than 25,000 protesters, holding decision President Vladimir Putin, whose event was scheduled for Monday. The protests over electoral fraud have led to the end of Putin's head asking for 50 million rubles by Berezovsky. He is another Russian oligarch helped the disintegration of the former Soviet Union in the era of Boris Yeltsin. With the current system, Russia remains entrenched in a transition that began 23 years ago, that does not reach the materialization, and people continue to suffer a tremendous pressure from the government, which do not meet the real needs of the country. Inflation, despite the resources that Russia has, is scheduled to be hitting again above 9%. The economic and political power is concentrated in the hands of oligarchs. The English newspaper, The Economist, notes that Spain needs a bad bank for toxic financial assets, which adds that the problems do not seem to be endless, and not only that, but the sea of troubles continues to grow, with the government throwing inconsistent messages in a country Euro enthusiast, where there are clear signs of Euroscepticism. In the statement, praise the budget cuts since the beginning of the legislature. No ministerial meeting that has decreed a cut. In Spain, the discontent is widespread in all layers. Politicians keep their salaries, while the cuts squarely touch the social structure, education and health. The scandals in the monarchy touch its highest representative, and sailing in a boat that is leaky wooden leg by his own captain. This is being exploited by their opponents, to show the logbook, where they write, malfeasance in each port, from the beginning of navigation. The terrible legacy of the economic situation of the previous socialist government, which is supporting the Spanish people, is treated by the current right government, without the slightest honesty and care. This will further aggravate a situation already unsalvageable. In response, Colonel Martinez English has written the manifesto for a provisional government of the Third Spanish Republic, for requests and efforts of a growing group of collectives and associations. The show's mission, opening the necessary channels for a profound change from the regime called the transition to a consolidated democracy, and can decide by referendum. State reform in monarchy or republic that you want for the country. Correct the problem of legitimate statement. This must go through a National Assembly, to choose a Republican state coordinator, and assign to the components of the first provisional government.